MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The recount is on in Butte's primary election. I'll tell you how this is going to affect the local races.
Break through or break down? I'm Jared Hill with the uncertainty over the future of ceasefire talks, despite agreement from Israel. Why Hamas officials are criticizing the White House's proposal.
I'm Jonathan Amberian in Helena. Across Montana, school districts are set to open 17 public charter schools this year. I'll have a closer look at some of the work that's getting done to be ready for them.
Alrighty, it is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024, 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Jane McDonald, Matt Elwell with you.
August 1st, just last week, right?
I feel like it was like June 15th.
It's unbelievable how quickly the summer's gone by.
Definitely.
And a lot of Montana State students heading back into class this week.
Yep.
So, wow, we're gearing up.
Football season
It
time.
is,
Let's
almost,
move. Let's
yeah.
turn the page.
40s and 50s for the early part of the day today, so it cooled off nicely early this morning after some of those showers and thunderstorms yesterday afternoon. Futurecast does indicate that we'll see a few isolated thunder showers. I think it'll be a little more widespread than what we're seeing, but still positioning is about right. I don't expect to see a lot of severe weather threat for today. We're keeping an eye on the potential some smoke and haze trying to move back into at least portions of southwest Montana over the course of the next couple of days. I'm going to talk more in depth about that and our big cool down on the way. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, Butte election officials yesterday morning started recounting votes from the June primary election after finding an overcount of about 1,000 ballots. MTN's John Amy was at the Butte Civic Center to observe the process and to talk to those who may be affected by it.
The recount is on in Butte Silver-Bow's primary election from June here in the Butte Civic Center Annex after a discrepancy was found in the final ballot count. Now, this discrepancy is large enough to potentially affect some of the local races this November.
And so to find out that I might have a chance, it really kind of re-energized me.
Tom Cronley finished third in the closely contested race for Butte's District 5 commissioner. The recount could potentially push him into second place and back in the running for the general election. There are 3 other races in Butte's primary that had 3 or more candidates running. The recount could possibly change those races as well, which would be inconvenient for some candidates.
I kind of scrapped my campaign, got rid of my signs, got rid of my Facebook page, and so if I do advance, I'll have to start over.
On August 16th, Butte Clerk and Recorder Linda Sajor-Joyce confirmed that about 1,000 primary ballots accidentally may have been counted twice in the tabulator machines in June. On August 19th, election officials were recounting the ballots by hand and will also run them through the tabulator. The process is being observed by a special committee of the state Senate. The committee says the clerk and recorder has been very cooperative.
She has allowed us to observe very closely and to have everything explained, so there's nothing unturned.
Representatives from the Montana chapter of United Sovereign Americans, a national group that has highly scrutinized the election process across the country, also was on hand to watch the recount. David Nims said he brought the ballot discrepancy to the attention of the clerk and recorder.
I believe the AG is going to have to get involved because that is fraud some way. It could be unintentional or it could be intentional.
Others say this is just an honest mistake.
I guarantee you that nobody in the clerk and recorder's office wanted this to happen.
Election officials will have the results of the recount completed by August 22nd. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
And day 2 of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago will get underway soon with the theme, A Bold Vision for America's Future. Former President Barack Obama is set to take the stage, and last night, Vice President Kamala Harris and running mate Governor Tim Walz were in the building as the party paid tribute to President Joe Biden. CBS News' Caroline Cummings has more on how day one unfolded from Chicago.
This is going to be a great week.
Vice President Kamala Harris made a surprise appearance to help kick off the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. But night one, themed for the people, also belonged to President Joe Biden. Biden was emotional as he hugged his daughter Ashley and took the podium to a rousing reception.
Let me ask you, are you ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz?
President Biden's speech came a month after he dropped out of the 2024 race and endorsed Harris last night. He touted their administration's accomplishments and slammed the GOP opponent, former President Donald Trump.
Violent crime has dropped to the lowest level in more than 50 years. And crime will keep coming down when we put a prosecutor in the Oval Office instead of a convicted felon.
Celebrities, union leaders, and elected officials also took to the stage on night one, along with the party's 2016 nominee, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
The future is here. It's in our grasp. Let's go win it.
There were also sobering moments. Several women shared heartbreaking stories of living in places where abortion rights are restricted.
Because of Louisiana's abortion ban, no one would confirm that I was miscarrying. I was in pain, bleeding so much my husband feared for my life.
Outside of the convention, protests continued for a second day. Police say at least 4 people were arrested after some demonstrators breached a security fence. Caroline Cummings, CBS News, Chicago.
Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are going to be campaigning together in Wisconsin today. GOP vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will also be in Wisconsin today, while former President Donald Trump is heading to Michigan. Now, a little bit closer to home, a group of concerned Butte residents are furious after spotting masked men with white supremacy signs hanging out on an interstate overpass. Our Megan Thompson hears from one of them who plans to do something about these racist displays.
Well, the interstate system that passes through Butte connects the country from the East Coast to the West Coast to the North and the South. But this past weekend, this bridge right here behind me carried a message of hate when 3 masked men decided to show up with white supremacist propaganda. Now people in the community are speaking out, and they say this kind of messaging cannot be tolerated and that Butte is for everybody.
It's very disheartening to see someone take these kind of actions, and I think that we need to stand up with one loud voice and say, not in our town. We don't want that here. We want to be a town that welcomes everyone.
Josh Peck is a member of a local group that monitors the individuals posting hate signage. He says the individuals simply don't understand Butte's history as a melting pot.
For 150 years, we've been a melting pot, and we've welcomed people from all over the world to come here and work on our mines. There were no smoking signs that hung at the Butte mines that had 67 languages on them.
This is not the first time masked individuals have posted up with racist slogans around town. Others in the group Josh belongs to have been taking down signage plastered in public places for several years.
Unfortunately, we're at a point where just ignoring them isn't the solution. We need to be able to say in one voice that we don't want that here. That's not what we're about.
And that's why Josh and others in his group are planning a rally for August 24th from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon at Father Sheehan Park.
We just want to get together and share our overall feelings on welcoming people to our community, on being proud of our community the way it is. And we don't need to change that, and we don't need to add any unwelcome nuisances.
In Butte, Megan Thompson, MTN News.
And as this school year gets underway, school districts all across Montana are set to open more than a dozen new public charter schools under a state law enacted last year. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian has a closer look at some of the work being done to get those programs started.
Each of the 17 public charter schools in Montana set to start operating this year is going to look a little different, and that means the work it takes to get them ready is going to look different as well.
The engagement with the parents is really a lot more involved in explaining their options because they're so new and so different that it takes a little more time, but it's really, really exciting.
In January, the Board of Public Education approved 19 proposed charter schools from 11 districts, though 2 aren't scheduled to open this year. 3 of the successful proposals were from Helena Public Schools. The Mount Ascension Learning Academy will be the most different for the district. It will offer middle and high school students individualized learning plans that can range from fully in-person to fully virtual. District leaders have been meeting one-on-one with families to design the plans.
Parents that are choosing Mount Ascension are not dissatisfied with public HE. They just want ability to have choices of what works for them.
Helena's 2 other charters were already existing programs, but Superintendent Rex Welts says converting them to charters will allow them to expand and to claim additional base aid from the state.
It didn't cost us additional general fund dollars. In fact, it was a revenue source for us, just under $1 million.
Helena's Montessori charter will be adding a kindergarten class with 18 additional students. The Project for Alternative Learning will operate essentially the same this year, but leaders will begin planning so they can accept more students starting next year. In East Helena, leaders say they've had to work fast to get kids signed up and staff assigned for their 227 Academy. A major focus is allowing students to work through the curriculum at their own pace.
It's not going to be a super fabulous grand opening. It'll be a little more subtle, and we'll build things as we go, and we really want a lot of input from the kids.
Admissions for some of the schools still aren't finalized. Helena schools leaders say they still have open spots for their Mount Ascension charter. You can contact the district office for more information. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
And the U.S. Department of Agriculture last week announced the appointment of 20 new members to the Advisory Committee on Beginning Farmers and Ranchers, including Allie Moxley from Montana. Moxley is a Montana Farmers Union member who participated in the Farmers Union Enterprises Leadership Program, as well as founder and owner of a Moxley Consulting, where she helps focus on helping producers access funding. She hopes to use her experience in the grant and funding world to help young farmers and ranchers from Montana navigate the logistical challenges of small to medium-sized agriculture production. This includes new funding opportunities, policy change, and the new Farm Bill.
People that have been historically disfranchised, either because of generational issues or that land was taken away from them in the not too recent past. There's a lot of opportunity to identify ways that we might begin to address those past discrepancies and help sort of even the playing field for all farmers.
Moxley has been appointed for 2 years and went through the Farmers Union Enterprise Leadership Program in 2023, which helped provide her useful advocacy and communication skills. She plans to work with Beginning Farmer and Ranchers MFU members to bring forward their concerns. So pretty great stuff coming out of the Treasure State. All right, 6:12. Before we head into a break, I wanted to introduce you to a young gentleman. He had his birthday yesterday, celebrated 10 years old. Double digits, young Jeremiah is. This is Jeremiah, and like so many 10-year-olds, loves playing with trains, fire trucks, of course, goofing off with his brothers too. But Jeremiah has quite the interesting story. Now, Jeremiah has autism along with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, which causes intense seizures, neurodegenerative disorder, and just recently he was placed on hospice. It's been such a difficult path for Jeremiah and his family, and well, the community heard about Jeremiah and his birthday.
Look at that parade
and
of
his
people.
Love of everything fire truck related. So this young gentleman, well, he had a birthday he will not soon forget.
That is awesome. I love it when a community can come together for somebody like Jeremiah. We see that all the time in the Treasure State and around the area. I love it.
Yeah, it just warms your heart on a Tuesday. Really great stuff. So thank you to Jeremiah and his family. All right. Quick break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, we're going to have a look at your forecast as well as a look at some of your top stories and a heartwarming ending to a story we brought you last week.